저희 제품은 배틀로프의 단점을 보완한 제품, 좀 더 간편하고 쉽게 이 고강도 트레이닝을 할 수 있는 방법이 무엇이 있을까 하고 저희 지로프를 개발하게 되었죠.
와, 그러면 배틀로프의 그 엑기스만 딱 뽑아가지고 이거를 개발한 거네요.
네, 맞습니다.
야,
Battle ropes, the secret training of the world's strongest America's Olympic athletes. A legendary ultimate full-body high-intensity workout. But wait, too much space needed, too heavy, and way too noisy. Let's bring those downsides down and level up the workout effect. Introducing ZSUPS Zero. Light, small, compact, and you can enjoy it anytime, anywhere. A 3-in-1 training tool that builds muscle, stamina, and endurance all at once. It delivers workout effects that surpass battle ropes. Trusted quality, made in Korea. Shh, stronger, smaller, and quieter.
빵을 훔쳐 감옥에 오게 된 장 씨도 바로 여기에 있습니다.
낯선 이들이 찾아오는 사랑은 솜사탕 아무나 내게 새 코드를 줘요.
The Korean wave is drawing more fans from all over the world. Local consumer prices continue to hover at the 2% since rate in April.
Turning to robots to allow the visually impaired the chance to better indulge in cultural experiences. Like the number of hybrid cars that registered in South Korea has surpassed 2 million using its locally developed Yuri rocket.
아리랑.
Introducing Korean broadcast content that you won't be able to stop watching. For weary modern souls, Dr. Romantic, the quirky genius doctor of Puldam Hospital, prescribes heartwarming tales of humanity. A couple together for 7 years sees their rose-tinted glasses shatter. Can they keep their relationship alive? Discover the raw stories of youth, work, and love. Beyond what social media can show, experience the vibrant Korea through its hidden gems. Mama, the ultimate K-pop festival for global fans. Find your star in a feast of trendy music and electrifying performances. Now, the whole world enjoys it together.
The moment we wear it, our spirits lift. It helps us grow strong in body and in mind. As we wear it, we learn patience and respect. The belt system motivates students to strive harder and continue growing. This uniform shapes movement into grace and turns performance into something thrilling. Now, embraced around the world, Taekwondo shares our culture, philosophy, and values with pride and spirit. Though it may seem simple, this uniform holds your passion and your journey. It belongs to Taekwondo. Wear the extraordinary. Be with Taekwondo.
South Korean lawmakers began a National Assembly hearing this morning regarding the massive data breach at e-commerce giant Coupang. But the company's founder, Kim Bum-seok, did not attend the hearing, citing business commitments. National Security Advisor Ri Sung-nak has arrived in Washington and said he plans to discuss Seoul's push to build nuclear-powered submarines with U.S. officials. Ri is also seeking to discuss the possibility of restarting talks with North Korea. And the South Korean film No Other Choice, directed by Chan-wook, has been named a preliminary nominee for an Oscar in the International Feature Film category. Meanwhile, the song Golden from Netflix animated hit K-pop Demon Hunters was also shortlisted for Best Original Song. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today with a National Assembly hearing now underway into one of South Korea's largest ever personal data breaches, involving e-commerce giant Coupang and the leaking of information belonging to millions of users. But with the company's founder refusing to appear, questions are already being raised about accountability. Our Reiner starts us off.
South Korea's National Assembly opened a hearing on Wednesday into the massive data breach at e-commerce giant Coupang, which exposed the personal information of an estimated 33.7 million users. The hearing is being held by the Assembly's Science, ICT, Broadcasting and Communications Committee amid concerns that it may fall short of public expectations. Coupang founder and chairman Kim Bum-seok, along with former CEO Park Dae-jun, were summoned as witnesses, but both are absent. Kim submitted a written explanation citing overseas residence and global business commitments, while Park resigned just a week before the hearing. Kim's continued absence has renewed criticism over gaps in Assembly oversight, as his foreign nationality makes it difficult to deliver a summons or enforce compulsory attendance orders. In response, the Democratic Party lawmaker has proposed an amendment to the National Assembly's testimony law, allowing lawmakers to request an entry ban on foreign witnesses who refuse to attend hearings without a valid reason. Instead of Kim and Park, newly appointed Coupang executives, including its new U.S. national CEO, are attending, fueling criticism that senior decision-makers are once again avoiding direct accountability. The committee also added the CEO of Coupang Eats Services to the witness list just one day before the hearing. Lawmakers are expected to question executives on how the breach occurred, the company's data security practices, internal oversight, and who should ultimately bear responsibility. They will also examine whether Coupang's systems and response were adequate given the scale of the leak. A month on, anxiety among users remains high, with many reporting suspicious phone calls and messages, raising fears that leaked data is already being used for scams. A separate National Assembly petition is also gaining traction, calling for Kim's permanent entry ban into South Korea. Despite the breach, Coupang has limited its response to basic prevention guidelines and simplified account deletion, without announcing a concrete compensation plan. With public trust on the line, pressure is mounting on Coupang to move beyond explanations and present a clear plan for accountability and customer compensation. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Top security advisor Ri Sung-nak arrived in the U.S. and announced that he would discuss concluding a separate agreement with Washington to building nuclear-powered submarines. He also expressed a strong commitment to bilateral cooperation and said that now is the opportunity for a dialogue with North Korea. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
National Security Advisor Ri Sung-nak arrived in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday for talks on the implementation of agreements reached by the leaders of South Korea and the United States and strengthening coordination on North Korea policy. Speaking to reporters, he raised the possibility of a separate South Korea-U.S. agreement related to the construction of nuclear-powered submarines. Asked what such an agreement could look like, Wee pointed to Australia as an example.
Australia was granted an exception under Section 91 of the US Atomic Energy Act, and that would require a separate agreement between the two countries. We may also need that, so we will discuss the possibility.
We suggested South Korea could similarly explore a separate agreement with Washington that would allow it to work around restrictions in the existing South Korea-U.S. nuclear cooperation agreement, which prohibits the military use of nuclear materials. We said it remains unclear whether the two sides will announce the creation of a formal consultative body on nuclear-powered submarines. While there is no agreement to establish issue-specific working groups, he said both sides are seeking ways to speed up consultations. We also emphasized close policy coordination on North Korea. He said he does not believe the issue is low on Washington's list of priorities, adding that while Seoul has made progress in stabilizing relations with regional powers, inter-Korean relations have lagged, and now there is an opportunity to make progress.
Isn't it true that a favourable atmosphere has formed between South Korea and the US among its various allies? If it's an opportunity, it's an opportunity. With this, North Korea relations must also be managed well. Therefore, coordination and cooperation between South Korea and the US are always crucial.
Wee is also scheduled to visit New York for talks with United Nations officials before returning to South Korea. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
After Korea Zinc announced its plans to build a $7 billion core minerals refinery in the United States, Washington welcomed the project, saying it would help strengthen the country's national security. While expectations are growing about the joint project between the two countries, some experts caution that it could carry risks. Our Park Won-woo explains more.
Just hours after the world's largest zinc smelting company, Korea Zinc, unveiled plans to build a $7.4 billion critical minerals refinery in Tennessee, the U.S. has responded with enthusiasm. On Monday, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick welcomed the joint project, calling it a big win for America. He added the deal would help strengthen U.S. national security, rebuild the industrial base, and eventually reduce dependence on foreign supplies. Lutnick also said Washington would gain priority access to Korea Zinc's expanded global production starting in 2026. Under the plan, Korea Zinc will sell around 10% of its shares to a U.S.-led joint venture in which the U.S. Department of Defense will hold a 40% stake. The U.S. Commerce Department is also set to provide subsidies of up to $201 million under the CHIPS Act. Calling the move a rare type of investment, one expert says the deal could signal a shift in how Washington views Seoul as a strategic partner.
It does show that U.S. may be thinking of Korea as becoming a more reliable partner because there's not an appropriate American investor available to establish the smelting plants and factories. So this could be a beginning of a new relationship between U.S. and Korea.
However, the same also cautioned that the partnership could carry risks.
They seem to have a habit of buying up companies or trying to control companies using political justification rather than economic justification. There are some worries whether this investment will be run with profit and mutual benefit in mind, or whether it will be just a method for the United States to get unilateral gains out of this relationship.
And he also said it would be better for the Korean government to maintain a neutral stance, noting that the partnership is between one private Korean company and the U.S., particularly given Seoul's relationship with China. Meanwhile, the facility to be built in Clarksville, Tennessee, northwest of Nashville, is scheduled to open in 2029 and is expected to produce around 540,000 metric tons of critical minerals annually. The output will be used in key sectors, including AI, semiconductors, and defense systems. Park Won-woo, Arirang News.
The Lee Jae-myung administration is continuing its live policy briefings after the president explained his decision to air the briefings live following mixed reactions. Our top office correspondent Song Yoo-jin reports.
As government ministries and agencies enter the second week of policy progress briefings now being broadcast live for the first time, President Lee Jae-myung says change may bring friction, but it is worth the effort.
공무원들 입장에서는 새로운 방식에 익숙하지 않을 수도 있고 또 예년과 같은 형태로 업무 보고하면 아마 편할 수도 있을 겁니다. 그런데 정책 과정이 투명하게 검증돼야 되고 또 그 과정에서 집단 지성이 모여야 정책에 대한 신뢰도도.
Lee made the remarks at Tuesday's cabinet meeting as opinions remain divided over the live broadcast. Supporters say the move strengthens transparency and the public's right to know, while critics argue it risks turning policy reviews into excessive discipline or public shaming. Appearing to address those concerns, the president said the new format reflects his administration's principle that the government exists to serve the people.
이 국정의 주체인 국민들에게 투명하게 공개돼야 국민 중심 국정 운영이라는 게 말에 그치지 않고 제대로 될 수가 있습니다.
On Tuesday, the Culture Ministry held its policy briefing alongside the Ministries of Health and Food and Drug Safety. President Lee stressed the importance of the arm's length principle in the government's relationship with the arts.
일부는 또 각광을 받긴 하지만 압도적 다수는 그러지 못한 게 또 현실입니다. 개인적인 삶으로 끝나는 게 아니고 공공 영역에 영향을 미치고 사람들의 삶을 풍요롭게 풍족하게 만들죠. 그리고 세세하게 정말 구석구석 지원하되 간섭하지 않으면서도.
In line with this, the Culture Ministry plans to strengthen livelihood support measures for artists, such as offering low-interest, small loans. 송유진, Arirang News.
On the economic front, a 2024 survey of business activities is a key indicator for corporate sales. And last year, the total sales of South Korean companies increased, driven by strong performance in the chip industry. Our An Sung-jin has the details.
Earnings for South Korean companies in 2024 increased on the back of a semiconductor boom. According to the Data Ministry on Tuesday, total sales from the 2024 survey of business activities, made up of nearly 15,000 companies and excludes the financial and insurance sector, reached 3,371.1 trillion won, or $2.28 trillion US dollars. That's a 5.2% increase from the year before. In particular, net profit before corporate tax surged by 20.6%. An official from the Data Ministry said that the chip industry, which suffered a downturn in 2023, played a key role in pushing the figure before corporate tax amid the global AI boom. The Trade Ministry had earlier stated that South Korea's semiconductor exports totaled $141.9 billion last year, the highest level on record. Average sales per company also rose. By industry, sales saw a hike in scientific and technical services, transportation and warehousing, and accommodation and food services. Meanwhile, sales declined in construction and the electricity and gas supply sector. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Samsung Electronics' new double-folding mobile, Galaxy TriFold's second round of sale opened this morning and is sold out in just 2 minutes. The sale started at 10 a.m. this morning after the initial batch sold out in just 5 minutes last Friday. While Samsung has not announced the number of phones sold, industry watchers estimate that this second round was in the hundreds range. While the Galaxy TriFold's official price tag sits at roughly 3.6 million won, around $3,000 US, scarcity has driven resale prices on secondary markets to between 4 and 5.5 million won. The device features a massive 10-inch screen when fully unfolded and is the thinnest among the Galaxy foldable series, powered by Snapdragon 8 Elite platform. Director Park Chan-wook's film No Other Choice has been named a preliminary nominee for an Oscar in the International Feature Film category. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced a shortlist for 12 categories on Tuesday, ahead of the 98th Academy Awards. In the International Feature Film category, 15 films were selected from submissions representing 86 countries and regions, including South Korea. Also shortlisted was the song Golden from Netflix animated film K-pop Demon Hunters for Best Original Song. Final nominees will be announced on January 22nd, with the Academy Awards set to take place on March 15th.
Do you see my head bobbing right now? 。   。   。  。  。  。 。 。 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。
.
accountable for his
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In the United States, Los Angeles prosecutors charged Nick Reiner, the son of filmmaker Rob Reiner, with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the killing of his parents. District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced the charges at a news conference on Tuesday, saying prosecutors will also pursue special circumstances for multiple murders and allege Reiner used a knife in the attack. Police found Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner dead from apparent stab wounds inside their Los Angeles home on Sunday. Officers arrested Nick Reiner several hours later, and he is now being held without bail. He has not entered a plea, and authorities have not disclosed a motive. Director Rob Reiner was best known for films such as When Harry Met Sally and A Few Good Men. Michelle Singer Reiner was a photographer and LGBTQ+ rights advocate. In Australia, newly released dashcam footage captured the final moments of a couple who confronted a gunman moments before the deadly mass shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach. The footage released on Tuesday shows 69-year-old Boris Gurman wrestling a suspected attacker to the ground on Campbell Parade and briefly taking the gun as his wife Sophia Gurman stood nearby. CNN verified the video and confirmed the confrontation occurred just meters from where the shooter later opened fire at a Hanukkah event. Australian media identified the Gurmans as the first victims of the rampage that killed at least 15 people. Both died at the scene. Family members said the couple acted instinctively to protect others. Police later recovered an ISIS flag displayed on the attacker's vehicle. Authorities continue to investigate the attack. In the United States, newly released government data on Tuesday showed a sharp labor market slowdown, with layoffs creeping up and the hiring rate remaining at lows similar to the pandemic and the aftermath of the Great Recession. The economy lost 105,000 jobs in October, but added 64,000 jobs in November. The unemployment rate in November rose to 4.6%, the highest level since 2021. Officials attributed the October losses largely to federal workforce reductions following Trump administration cutbacks. Economists also pointed to uncertainty from tariffs and persistently high interest rates. The Federal Reserve cut rates last week, but signaled caution with policymakers divided over further easing. In the United Kingdom, a Liverpool court on Tuesday sentenced a driver who plowed into a celebrating crowd to 21 years and 6 months in prison. Paul Doyle drove into a crowd during the May 26th parade celebrating Liverpool's Premier League title win. He injured more than 130 people before a bystander forced the vehicle to stop. Prosecutors said Doyle acted in rage after becoming stuck in traffic. The 54-year-old pleaded guilty to 31 charges, including dangerous driving and causing grievous bodily harm. The judge rejected Doyle's claim of panic and praised the bystander whose intervention prevented further injuries. 추지한, Arirang News.
It was a rough morning commute for much of the capital area with damp roads and thick fog. And on top of that, stagnant air is trapping pollutants, making conditions even murkier. Ultrafine dust is expected to reach bad levels across the capital area throughout the day today. Rain or snow continues through the morning on Jeju, then to the east coast later today. Mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province could pick up 1 to 3 centimeters of snowfall. Morning temperatures were 2 to 5 degrees higher than yesterday, but daytime highs are lower in much places. Seoul getting up to 7 degrees, Gyeongju, Gwangju at 10 degrees under brighter skies in most places. Colder air moves back in overnight, bringing sub-zero temperatures tomorrow morning before rebounding to above the season norms. Then winter rain is expected across much of the country this weekend.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right.
서시 죽는 날까지 하늘을 우러러 한 점 부끄럼이 없기를. 잎새이는 바람에도 나는 괴로워했다. 별을 노래하는 마음으로 모든 죽어가는 것을 사랑해야지. 그리고 나한테 주어진 길을 걸어가야겠다. 오늘 밤에도 별이 바람에 스치운다. 한국인들이라면 한 번쯤 들어본 시일 텐데요. 바로 서시입니다. 이 시를 쓴 주인공, 바로 윤동주 시인입니다. 안녕하세요. 반크에서 활동하는 권소영 연구원입니다. 서시, 별에는 밤, 자화상 등을 쓴 윤동주 시인은 한국인이 가장 사랑하는 시인 중 한 명으로 꼽히는데요. 가끔 윤동주 시인의 정보에서 오해와 오류가 보이더라고요. 제가 윤동주 시인에 대한 제대로 된 정보를 알려드릴게요.